When you think of the word witch, what comes to mind? Magic? Sorcery? Spells? Another isekai? Or is it? What if that witch was the only family you had left? Journal with Witch tells the story of two people brought together by loss. Not destiny, not fate, but circumstance. When the reclusive novelist suddenly becomes the guardian of her teenage niece after a tragic accident, neither of them knows how to move forward or how to live together. With nothing but a shared space and unspoken grief between them, they begin to communicate in the only way that feels safe, through a journal. What starts as simple words on a paper slowly becomes a lifeline capturing emotions that can't be said out loud and moments they're afraid to forget. What's up everybody, Senpai here, and today I'll be reviewing Journal with Witch and how this drama slice of life anime adaptation of Tomoko Yamashida's award-winning Josei manga has quietly taken winter 2026 by storm. So let's begin this review, one page at a time. Imagine losing your family and having to cope with that pain. You attend the funeral, say your final goodbyes, and all you can hear are people pitying you and talking about your parents in a not so savory manner. All you want to do is, what do you do? How do I process this? Who am I? On the flip side, your aunt, Makio Kodai, is suddenly given the legal guardian title as you move in with her. But who is she? Well, aside from being one of two MCs of this story, she's a novelist and not a clean person, as you can see. You walk into the home and your aunt, who you know very little about, tells you that
あなたの母親が心底嫌いだった。死んでなお憎む気持ちが消えないことにうんざりしている。
So that was a f***ing lie.
You can imagine how that would break somebody. You, as in Asa Takumi, the second MC of the story, stand there in silence. You ask why, but instead of getting an answer, two things happen. Well, three. Well, first of all, we gotta clean up the place because good God, it's messy. You get no answer as to why your aunt dislikes your mother, and you learn that she's not very good at expressing herself, so she tells you to keep a diary with you, to write your feelings or whatever you're thinking in there. See, that's just the beginning, and in a way you might think that the witch is Makio, and one would be right, but Makio is anything but that. She is just introverted and socially awkward in situations. But what she does do is say things as it is. And the best example of this is in episode 1 where she offers Asa the opportunity to stay with her, spilling her heart out in her own way.
あなたはこんな醜悪な場にふさわしくはない。あなたを愛せるかどうかもわからない。だけど私は決してあなたを踏みにじらない。それでよければ明日も明後日もたらい回しはなしだ。
私の天涯孤独の運命を一緒に帰る。
Everyone deals with grief in their own way, and Asa is a lost soul, wandering the desert that is her mind, trying to figure out who she is and what her purpose is now that she's lost her parents. Naturally, this leads to Makio and Asa initially clashing with each other as polar opposites, where Makio is reserved, socially awkward, and set in her routines while Asa is navigating grief and confusion about her own future. But Makio is there to let her know that she can talk to her while giving her the space and time she needs to grieve, which is exactly what she does, which is something she needs to do on her own. That is why the journal idea was brought up as an outlet for Asa to record her feelings in it. As they settle into their new life under the same roof, the series unfolds as a quiet, unhurried exploration of their evolving relationship, the challenges of cohabitation, and the ways they slowly learn to support one another despite their differences. Now let's talk about what I like and dislike about the anime. Emotional depth and realism. The quiet, mature storytelling that sensitively explores grief, family, and connection is a strong suit for this anime. It does a fantastic job at keeping things real and saying things as it is at face value, even if that conversation can be difficult at times. The way that Asa grieves the loss of her parents, and how Makio is always there despite being socially awkward herself, and having trouble expressing how she really feels to others, is still honest with Asa even if what she's saying isn't something that Asa wants to hear. When Makio says that her disgust for her sister bothered her after her passing, it really resonated with me because it showed how mature Makio was, and that despite whatever feeling she had about her sister, she could put that aside for Asa's sake and see Asa for who she is, rather than who she's related to. Makio may not understand Asa's feelings, but she's there for her when she needs it, and that shoulder to lean on is something that's so important in times like these. But hey, in all the sadness, there's still moments of happiness here, such as this.
これ好きなの？
この曲のね、ベースが好き。あ、ここのベース。
Anyways, the art and atmosphere are also another positive, as this anime goes for a minimalistic art style. And the music that's used relies on the characters and the dialogue carrying this anime. It's there to enhance it, not to be a substitute for the story, and it does that very well. Speaking of characters and performances, the sub absolutely knocks it out of the park. They're done very well, keeping to this slice of life realistic theme. Vocal performances, especially from Miyuki Sawashiro as Makio, are highlighted as standout, especially in conveying nuanced emotions. And the character development throughout the story lends further credence to the realism or true of life theme of the anime/story, rather than being overdramatic, leading to it being a breath of fresh air when compared to the action-packed comedy isekai stuff that we've been getting so far in winter 2026. The drama genre tends to get a lot of flack in writing and visual mediums, as most times it's overdone, or in the case of anime/manga, spawns from a simple misunderstanding that could have been resolved by talking it out, but instead the writers choose to drag it out to create conflict as a way to structure parts of the story around it. But that's not the case here. Instead, the drama is done within reason. As you watch the story unfold, you come to understand where Asa and Makio are coming from in their differing views of the world, especially with loneliness, grief, and just seeing eye to eye at times. Nothing is overdone, and any misunderstandings are talked out in a timely manner, leaving no stone unturned, in that sense. Asa feels these emotions because she's lost, and her circumstances have left her in such a position that she finds it difficult to understand how to cope with that pain, and the only parental figure she has left in her life can't relate to her, only adding to her frustrations and loneliness, which is something many of us can relate to. The drama in this story is explainable and relatable, and that's what makes it so good. The fact that you can see yourself relating to how Makio feels when she's trying to understand her feelings for Kasamachi-kun, or Asa struggling to cope with the loss of her family, or when Asa criticizes Makio for not understanding how to clean up her surroundings when she's so engrossed in trying to reach her deadlines for her book. You get that. But not just that, you can understand both sides. These reactions, emotions, and way of thinking are all relatable to our world, and that's how the drama is portrayed in this story, which when combined with the amazing voice acting truly delivers a masterpiece on how difficult it can be to understand one another, and that just because you don't understand the pain that one is going through, it doesn't mean that you can't empathize with them or be a shoulder to lean on in tough times. I know that I mentioned about dislikes, but if I'm gonna be honest with you, there isn't really much that I dislike about this, if anything. Some people complain about the slow pace, confusion with the title name, and more, but to those, I refute thee The slow pacing is done on purpose as you don't just fast forward through grief. It's something that takes time. Healing takes time, and it would have been confusing and a bit of a letdown if the story were more fast paced. Also, if you think this is slow pacing, you do not know what slow pacing is. Trust me, watch it all the way or read the manga, and you'll see what slow pacing truly is. The title of the story can be confusing, but once you watch the anime or read the manga, you realize that the word witch could be interpreted in a few different ways. It could be a play on words, where witch is supposed to be the word witch, but purposely misspelt, of which Asa uses the journal to escape from the desert wasteland she often finds herself trapped in, aka her mind, when she writes in her journal about how she feels.
孤独は彼女には寄り添うのに私にはちっとも優しくなかった
Which could also be considered as the title given to Makio, as I mentioned earlier, as her disdain for Asa's mother, aka her sister, could be seen as quote-unquote evil or just morally bankrupt, considering that they were, related by blood. Or it could be something else. Either way, the title is what it is, and it shouldn't be a reason to discredit this amazing story. Journal with Witch isn't loud, flashy, or in a hurry. It's an anime that asks you to slow down, sit with uncomfortable feelings, and find meaning in the quiet moments most stories tend to skip. It won't be for everyone, but if it connects with you, it really connects. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more anime breakdowns. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.